So we'll get there. I hope. No, we will get there. We will get there. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide, the agenda. So it's our standard slide, which happened to be like a nice, almost a real shape there. We'll go through our roll call, go through the minutes. I'll provide a community outreach update. And then Mary Rubin is here to give us a presentation on the station Art Enhancement. We'll do our project status update. And then this evening, we're going to introduce the noise and vibration. So we've been focused a lot on traffic and a lot of the same issues, or a lot of the same activities that cause the traffic impacts also cause the noise and vibration impacts. And so we're going to start introducing a lot of what they are and the mitigations, but we'll dive deeper into the mitigations in the next meeting. Otherwise, we would be here until midnight. And we don't want to do that. And then we'll open it up for discussion and wrap it up and make sure we are out of here by 8 o'clock. Next slide, please. As always, this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted up on YouTube tomorrow. And Ken will be in and out of the meeting. Okay. Your microphones are on mute and raise your hand. That's the little hand on the bottom of the screen. I will try to watch for your virtual hand, but the little hand on the screen is better. Use your real name on your profile versus your email address. One person speaks at a time. And next page, please. We have our Zoom meeting code of conduct. We treat each other respectfully. Sometimes things can get controversial and sometimes we don't agree. And it's okay to not agree. It's okay to disagree. We just want to do that respectfully, embrace new ideas, just keep treating each other with respect. And we have done that for a whole year and let's continue that. Thank you. Next slide, please. Do a quick roll call. So this would be a good time to unmute so you can let me know if you're here. I'm just going to go alphabetically here. Ernesto, are you here yet? And I'm going to do a quick check over on the attendee side. He's not there. Okay. So we'll just keep an eye out for him. Sandy.
I'm here.
Hello.
Hi. And Ernesto's trying to log in, so he'll be in logging in the next 5 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate that. And Julie.
Present.
Thank you. Oh, this isn't, I know, I just realized it's not alphabetical, but that's okay. Laura.
Here.
Thank you. Jeremy.
Here.
Craig.
Craig is here.
Thank you. Andreas.
Here.
And Jessica.
Here.
I'm not calling out John because he already told me he's on vacation and it's going to be out of town and miss this meeting. Okay, next slide, please. And I'm Kathleen Pedroski, Community Outreach Supervisor, leading outreach on this project. And David can introduce himself. He is working the slides for us this evening. Go ahead, David.
Hello, everyone.
Then
Ben Prasad, Project Manager.
Hassan.
Hassan Bazma with Vta, Deputy Project Manager.
And Ken, are you with us now?
Yes, this is Ken Ronsi. I'm Deputy Director for VTA Rail and Facilities.
Thank you. And Ziad.
Engineering support for VTA.
Thank you. Next slide, please. It's out of my way. Okay, so minutes. So for folks in the audience, we typically would have met in May. Due to the tragedy at our light rail yard, we postponed it for a month, this meeting for a month. We met in June. And we typically do a community outreach review, project status updates. So what we talked about last month there was a targeted outreach. We had some utility relocations happening around Capitol, and that was PG&E doing some underground work, and there was a targeted outreach. PG&E did their own outreach, and then we supplemented that just for that area. I didn't do a whole corridor wide notice. And then in a little bit, I'm going to discuss doing a full corridor notification in a moment. Then provided a project status update, and he'll do that again this evening for right-of-way schedule. There was a building removal at Story and Capitol Expressway. And then we went and did a deep dive into the utility relocation presentation that Ven gave, describing what types of activities were happening at the different locations beginning this fall. And a lot of your feedback at that last meeting influenced the graphics that are on the upcoming newsletter that I'm going to discuss. Then we had a kind of a brief open discussion. We actually ended that meeting before 8 o'clock. And then we just reviewed we also reviewed the next upcoming, this meeting, the next PAB meeting dates. And were there any questions about that? Yeah, so I can see you. Okay, next slide, please. I need to, just for a minute, move this down out of my sight there a little bit. So the end of July, we had a building removal, and we had talked about this, and I forget, you can't see my cursor. Okay. So we had a targeted outreach for that. So that's the one on the upper, thank you, David, upper right hand. It was a small, it used to be a stereo store, barbecue, nails, salon, massage parlor. It's been through a few businesses. It's one of the buildings we acquired for the project, and it needed to be removed. And so we did some targeted outreach to the businesses right there and the houses along the side and behind it, so they would know why there's a building coming down around them. And also so David and I actually walked, we did those door to door. We didn't mail it. We just went to all the houses and the businesses, and also did a next door posting. And out of the 383 on that next door, by the time we started demo, only 24 people had opened it. That's the only problem with next door is it's kind of a hit and miss. You know, if you don't check your next door, people don't catch the message, or they scroll and find it later. And then also on the stakeholder email list, and I'll talk about that later. And it's also posted on the webpage. And tomorrow, hitting the mail, or not your mailboxes, but hitting the post office tomorrow is, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but the newsletter. So it's project update, and then there's a full section on utility relocation that begins in September. And it talks about the PG&E relocation. I don't know. Okay, let me see if I can get this so I can see what's happening here. Yeah, no, I can't. Okay. If I can get a nod, Julie, I can see you. So if you can see this map that I'm pointing to, is that working? Or actually, okay, cool. And David's actually pointing to it on the screen. That's in there. And that came out of one of our discussion, but actually the discussion in June. What you guys were saying was it helped to show things in pods. And so the way this is working on the newsletter is it describes, you know, the blue is the PG&E transmission tower. That's the area of the transmission towers. And then the red is everybody else. And what people will be able to do is go on the website and see specifically what's happening in each red pod. And so I should have that live by tomorrow. I've been working on that. And this newsletter is translated in Spanish, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Tagalog. So I'm curious to know how long it takes to go. It'll be in the mail tomorrow. So you guys should start receiving it Monday or Tuesday, I suppose. I've increased the mailing area. It's already half a mile east and west of the corridor and north and south, but I extended it a little bit to go just a little bit past Quimby and a little bit. It's not a perfectly straight corridor and I wanted it to cover all of White Road, so I extended it a little bit past on the southern end. So it's reaching about 11,000 residents, businesses, absentee property owners. It'll also hit the stakeholder list Monday and Tuesday next week, next door. And then David and I are going to be hitting the businesses, and we're going to coordinate that timing with PG&E. So PG&E is going to start their transmission work on the 20th. And so they're going to start their door-to-door and their customer notification on the week of the 9th. And I wanted them to have a chance to hit the businesses and talk to them first. So we'll tag along right behind them. But we'll also put copies of the newsletter, hard copies, at the libraries, community centers, like the Boys and Girls Club. Jessica is allowing us to put copies over at Catholic Charities. So if any of you would like me to bring copies to you to distribute, let me know. And I can either drop copies off to you, mail you a bunch. You can just get in touch with me after the meeting, or let me know at the end of the evening, and I'll get a count going and we'll start that. It'll be on the project webpage, push it out on social media, and I'll be sending it to our PAB members. Hopefully they will send it to their listserv. So in an ideal world, you will get it from me, from a PAB member. You'll see it on the website. You'll see it on social media. In an ideal world, you'll get it 5 ways. Okay. And then the Ocala field visit. Let's see. Oh, you know, I'm going to back up to a little bit. As the dates from the utility companies are confirmed, they provide their own notification. And then what I will be doing is posting their notices online and sharing through the stakeholder and also through Nextdoor to help expand their notification. And that's why you're going to keep hearing me say this, trying to get people to sign up for the stakeholder email list. Okay, I'm getting a note that there's a hand raised. Why am I not seeing this well? You know what? It's because I had to move this out of my way. Sandy, go ahead.
Kathleen, would it be a good idea to send the newsletter to the council members as well, so they can put it on their website?
Actually, that is part of, well, we'll put it on the website. That would be ideal. But yes, I do send it to our board office to send to our council members. Oh,
Okay.
to your council members.
The city council?
Yeah, no, well, because I usually said, well, okay, because I'm thinking, when you said council members, I'm thinking Vta Board of Directors, which half of your council is on our board. Yeah, we can, I don't know how to, but yeah, let me see about doing that.
So that would be Sylvia Arenas and Magdalena Carrasco?
Yeah, so they're on our PAB, so they are automatically getting it.
Okay.
Okay, so did you mean all of San Jose Council or just those 2?
Just the ones that are going to be affected.
Oh, yeah, they get it already. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what and what I hope is that they share it. And so will Cindy Chavez, so will Otto Lee. In fact, also Assemblymember Cortese, I do keep his office informed because I know they're very tied to this project. Craig, I see a hand up.
Yeah, will we get something that we can send to our, so I can send to my neighborhood association?
Yes. Yeah, I'll send you guys all the hard copy. All right, who's jamming? Oh, yes, you'll all get the soft copy. Okay. Any more hands? All right. Okay. And that's that. Okay. On Monday, so I'm going to talk about the Ocala field visit a little bit, but I'm going to back up. On Monday, Ken and I and Ben all attended the Eastside Leaders Week group, Eastside Leadership meeting. That's a new group to me. And this was hosted by Cindy Chavez's office. And basically the presentation for that was similar to the November presentation that we provided to the stakeholder working group member. It was the Ocala area history. And Ken provided a lot of responses to questions about space, right-of-way, engineering, design, traffic studies, a lot of similar questions that this group had, because the community is interested in revisiting the Ocala station that was eliminated from the project in 2014. And then 2 days ago on Tuesday, we had the visit. We did the Ocala field visit and just went further into, explaining the space constraints. And Ken brought displays to help show, the designs, got very engineer and techie. And that helped influence the board's decision. This was, in addition to low ridership that was projected for the area, the proximity to the Eastridge Station and the transit center. And then just also trying to, help explain that, at this point, change is pretty sensitive at this point in the project. Let's see what else. There was also the left turn issue, the traffic issues. So, at this point, staff continues to work on the project that is approved. And, if there's any desire for change, I think everyone understands that the direction is, that you need to speak with the board. Start with the policy advisory board. You can go to the board of directors, but staff in the meantime needs to stay the course. But we are here to help provide you information. If you need help, with any background information, we'll certainly help provide that. Okay. Is there any questions, or does anyone else on the project team want to chime in? I see no hands. All right. I think at this point, I am going to introduce you to Mary Rubin. We're going to, before we get into construction and other updates, we're going to talk about station art enhancement, because that is part of the project. And it's not all about how noisy and all the traffic impacts. There's some kind of fun and pretty stuff. And so we work with Mary Rubin and the city of San Jose. She's with the city of San Jose Public Art Program. And I'm going to turn this presentation over to her now. And Mary, take it away.
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I am Mary Rubin. I'm a senior project manager at the City of San Jose's Public Art Program. And next slide. So we have been engaged, the City of San Jose's Public Art Program has been engaged in the same capacity that we were engaged for the bus rapid transit stations, which is basically to run the public art process. And if you go to the next slide, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the process. So public art is unlike studio art. If you were here with me, we were in the same room, I'd probably start asking questions about your favorite artwork. And I might even start talking about your favorite public artwork. But because we're in this format, I'm going to distinguish that public art is all about process. The public artist it's not arbitrary. The public artist is working with clients' goals and objectives, physical opportunities, and site constraints, and the values of a community. And all of this is to inspire how they're going to aesthetically enhance an opportunity. So there are such things as, I'm not going to read all of these to you, you can read them, but we've got your VTA's urban kind of considerations. We've got the pedestrian and rider experience that the artist needs to consider. And if you go to the next slide, and of course, there is the community and the community's connection. And these are all very big picture objectives. You go to the next slide. And what I'm trying to show you is how we start to build a project, how we start to build kind of the opportunity for the artist. So we're working with base level or big picture goals. Then we figure out what the budget is. And the budget is a percentage of the base project. And in this case, we have two opportunities. We have one opportunity, as you know, at Story Road and the other at East Ridge. And each opportunity has a budget $450,000. And there's a dog out there that likes that.
Ernesto, is it your neighbor's dog again?
I'm sorry, I hope you guys can help me. I try to do that with those guys and they don't help me. I called 3 times and they say I need more people to sign up for me. They say nice, figure it out. Sorry for that.
All right.
You want me to mute? It's fine.
We'll just mute you for now.
Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so an artist's scope of work is very much like an architect's scope of work. They have to do it, although it's more grassroots. So they're going into the architectural plans, they are investigating the site opportunities, but they're also investigating the neighborhood. And we will talk a lot more about the community engagement kind of in a future slides here. But they also are working with the design team, they're developing designs, then they move into fabrication and transporting an artwork to the site, and then installation. Let's go to the next slide. And of course, the sites. So the artist has to become familiar with the sites. And you know the sites, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this on these slides, but just to say, VTA, along myself and VTA, the VTA team, spent time looking at the sites and thinking about what some kind of general opportunities would be for the artists. Again, we're just trying to kind of build up what this request for qualification for the artist is going to look like. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And the next slide. I'm behind you a little bit. That's Story Road, you know these sites. And you know, when I look at this slide, I see so many opportunities for art. Some of them are integrated, some of them are discrete. Let's go to the next slide. What happened here?
I don't know.
We're missing a bunch of my slides, people.
I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Okay, well, can I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, not a problem. Let me see.
There were 18.
I guess I have to share first. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, I need to make you a host. Hold on. Sorry, folks. We're having a moment here.
But it will only be a moment.
There you go.
Well, it says, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so hopefully, let me, do you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, and then now I just have to figure out how to make it, how to go into present.
Slideshow. Slideshow.
Present.
Or present. Okay, that works.
Ah, okay, I can slide through. Sorry, everybody.
For the record, I really did put all her slides in there last night, so I don't know what happened in the whole sharing earlier today.
Okay, I'll go back. And okay, so here we go. You know, and again, you know, as I look at these slides, I just see a lot of opportunity for a public artist to come in and enhance the site. And here's East Ridge. East Ridge has so many opportunities for placemaking to do something with this plaza. These are both big, important projects. And when we thought about the eligibility for the artists, again, it's not arbitrary. We want an artist that works in the that lives and works in the United States. And because it's a big project, we want them to have experience. So we set a limit that they have to have completed a project of $200,000 or greater in a public place. And then because we're very, I mean, there's so many reasons for working with local artists, but we designated that one of the opportunities would be reserved for a Bay Area artist, so a regional artist. And you can see how we defined that. And so here's the process. We created an RFQ, a request for qualifications. And we're not asking for proposals from the artist. We're just asking for their qualifications. And then we did outreach locally and nationally. And that looks like going through arts organizations, using social media, and it looks like me reaching out directly to probably a couple of hundred artists who are part of that, that group of artists that have done work $200,000 or greater. Then we pulled together a selection panel, and I'll introduce you to them in a moment. The selection panel is tasked with creating a short list of 3 artists for each site to interview. And then after interviews, to select 1 artist or artist team for each site. And again, 1 opportunity is reserved for a Bay Area regional artist. And that right there made it a very, very competitive process, which was interesting. The selection panel had to consider, and the artists, all of these qualities, these conditions to find the right artist. So they're looking for artistic excellence. They're looking for an artist that can accomplish a work of appropriate scale, an artist that has experience with day and night work. Like, what is the experience going to be in both of these times of day? Of course, it has to be thought-provoking to a lot of different artists, because we live in a diverse city and these are diverse neighborhoods. And then because both of these are transit stations, people are going to be visiting again and again and again. So you want to try to find an artist that can create something that will hold people's interests over time. And it would be nice if the work was a surprise, if it was something that people in the rest of the city said, oh God, you should go out to Story Road, you should go out to East Ridge and see that work, see that station. And the artist is going to have to be responsive to community. And the work ultimately is going to be in a public place, so it needs to be low maintenance and robust. So let me introduce you to the selection panel. Very important part of the process. Again, we're talking process. You want to find a diverse panel. You want to find a panel that understands artistic excellence. You also want to have community representation on this panel, and you want people to have some knowledge of art, public art specifically. So we worked with, we invited Mayan Alcantara. She's a senior project manager. She does what I do for LA Metro. And this was all done on Zoom, so we could actually bring in somebody from LA. We had one of the principal architects that designed these stations, Claudia. I actually have never been able to say her last name, so if a project team member wants to, that'd be great. Walter Hood, who is an artist and landscape designer in Oakland. And that's Walter on the lower left-hand corner. Rachel Liu, oh, I actually can do this. Rachel Liu, who lives in District 8, she's a visual artist. Edgar, where is Edgar? Right here. He works at Mexican Heritage. He's the community engagement program manager, and he's also an artist. And Amy Trachtenberg, who's a visual artist from San Francisco, and she did a project at Hillview Library, if any of you have been at Hillview. The atrium is hers, and she also just finished a project at BART. So this is our selection panel. Just a sense of the schedule. The project was advertised in April. We had a couple of months of outreach. The initial deadline for the artists to submit their qualifications was July 22nd. And at that point, we had about 193 eligible artists, both locally and nationally. There was a shortlist done on July 15th, and artist interviews happened on August 11th. So at this point, we are in contract negotiations, and as soon as we kind of get over this hurdle, we can announce who the artist is. And the next kind of big milestone in the project is introducing the artist to the community. And I don't know if, I don't actually recognize anybody on this stakeholder working group, but many people in the community did participate in the BRT project community meetings, and they're supposed to be fun. You get to, the artists introduce themselves to you through a presentation of their past work. It's usually about 15 minutes. It's super interesting. And then there's a series of questions that are posed by the artist to kind of get us all thinking about what our values are as a community. And I plan it different ways, but I try to make it fun. And we'll see if it's, I guess it's going to be virtual, so that will be interesting. Or maybe we can do a hybrid. I don't know how that's going to look. And then, so that's one kind of interface with the artist. The artist in their design process may choose to do optional different types of interface, like interviews. They definitely will be doing archival research. They may do different types of breakout sessions, but kind of a big community meeting is this first community meeting. And then once the artist has finished their conceptual design, they come back to the community for input. And in terms of that meeting, no, it's not about cats, but we will want you to come to that meeting. And we'll be very interested, and we would really welcome you reaching out to your neighbors and friends and inviting them to that meeting too, because this is really the artist's first opportunity to meet the community, and all of the artists that have been selected for this project have deep roots in community process, and the process is only as successful as the people that show up. So I think that that's my presentation, and I'm just very happy. Let me stop the share. There we go.
Right, so
To take
does
questions.
anybody, yeah. I'm looking, I see a hand up and then my thing moved. So I lost my hand. Hold on.
Andy.
Sandy, there you go.
Mary, do you have an estimated time when the community can meet the artist?
Yeah, I'm hoping if the contract negotiations go well, I'm hoping October. I'm hoping the beginning of October. We'll see.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, were we still working out if we were going to do one meeting with both sets of artists or both sites?
We're still
Yeah, but
working
yeah,
out.
we're still trying to figure out those details. Yeah, so it could be one or two different.
But either way, you would be invited to
Yeah.
both meetings.
Oh no, you'll be hearing, because Mary will be, as she's planning it, I'm working with her side by side. We're going to be blasting it out every which way we can.
Julie.
I wish I knew about this. I've been collecting art since I was 18 years old. So I know tons of artists, man. Is there any way I could get involved, even though it's the end of the process?
Oh, it's the beginning of the process, Julie. So what's going to happen now is you will have this opportunity to meet the artist. You know, each one of them has a very kind of distinct style. They have what they bring to the project aesthetically. And as you meet them, you'll see they're conceptual artists. So they're very diverse in how they approach each opportunity. So your input is going to be very valuable.
Now, this could be statues also.
No, what I would say is, sure, it could be a sculpture, perhaps. I think that the different sites have different opportunities. I think that East Ridge is an opportunity for placemaking. There's an opportunity to address this plaza. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. And that some of that will be worked out with the architects, like what are the areas of real opportunity? And what are the constraints? Story Road is, you know, it's an interesting site. It's probably going to be more integrated.
Now, there's a city in the Central Valley that has, it actually helped the town come back with all the murals around town. And each of the murals dealt with the history of the city. Does the artist have to, can it be just conceptual, or do you prefer them to deal with the history of the city?
Yeah, that's a good question. That kind of the inspiration for the artwork is really going to come out of the community meeting. So, you know, they're not going to say, like, what color do you want the artwork? They're not going to say, you know, do you want a sculpture or do you want something integrated? But they are going to say, what do you care about? What are the things that inspire you? I mean, I'm making these things up on the spot, right? But typically, they might say, what are the, you know, yeah, what inspires you about your neighborhood? What are the values that hold you together as a community? What do I need to know about these locations? What is the history that you most resonate with? Again, I'm just making stuff up. But that's the kind of question they'll ask.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Julie. Hey, Craig, go ahead.
Yes, I think part of my question was answered. So my understanding is that the artists are going to take ideas and concepts from the community and design something that fits in the community. So it's not specifically or particularly what the artist wants, but it's something that the community wants, or a combination of both, correct?
Well, I'm gonna, so they're, the artists, both of the artist teams are, you know, extremely experienced. They're experienced both in terms of producing pretty incredible artwork, but also in terms of going into a community and being inspired by the community. So again, it's not like we selected the artists because they're expert at what they do, but they're not expert in who you are. And that's the really essential ingredient that creates the spark of inspiration for a public artist. So a studio artist is more kind of, they go into their studio and they create something that is typically, you know, not always, but self-referential, right? They're doing it for themselves. I stop because I think of so many exceptions, but a public artist is definitely seeking input and inspiration. Now, again, they're not looking for, I want you to, you know, do a statue of, I don't know, somebody in particular, but they might say, they might really want to know what it is about that person that inspires you and is important. And who knows what will happen from there. I mean, I'm just making things up, right?
No, I understand. But the important thing is that community input is required or desired by the artists themselves.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the artist is not going to come in and say, this is what I perceive that you guys should have in this location. Yeah. But they're going to, like I said, I'm like you, I'm just going off the top of my head, not holding anybody to anything. But they're going to say, hey, so like you said, what about this community? Can we put that others, you know, so yeah, okay. I think I got the understanding. So, yeah.
So the way
community involvement is desired and needed for the artists to do what they want to do.
The way I like to think about it is their job is to contribute something meaningful and of value. And there's many ways to measure that, not to impose. So they're going to have constraints, right? Because they have to build something and respond to a site. And they have to work with, you know, these goals that I started to lay out. and a budget, a very specific budget. Then they have to take the inspiration from the community and create some kind of magic and produce a conceptual design that is going to go back to the community for feedback. So yes, it's in their contract that they have to do it. And believe me, it was written very clearly, both in the RFQ, the request for qualifications, and they had to answer a question on that. And it was also part of the interview process. Oh, we can't hear you, Craig. You're muted.
Okay, my last question is there any, can we see some work that they have done before?
You will, you absolutely
Okay.
will.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mary. Anyone else from the panel? I'm gonna check in and see, any of our attendees have questions this evening they'd like to ask Mary? See no hands. All righty. Well, Mary, I thank you so much for coming this evening and sharing this with us. You might have seen our mugs on that panel. We were not voting members. We were observers to the process. Had to keep my poker face on. It was a really neat process to watch, and not an easy choice for the panelists. And I look forward to the community meeting. I went through this with the BRT project, and it is a fun and it can be a challenging process, but it was a part of the project I really enjoyed. So I definitely look forward to working with the community on this next phase. So Mary, thank you.
Yeah, you're
so much.
welcome. I'm looking forward to working with all of you and your neighbors.
All righty, then we're gonna move on to project updates.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Oh, so we're gonna have to go back to our screen. I don't know what happened to your slides, Mary. I apologize about that.
That's okay.
so
Do you want me to
David-
stay, or do you want me to?
You can stay if you'd like to stay.
I think I'm gonna run, you guys.
Okay.
But if anybody has any follow-up questions for me, just reach out to Kathleen. She knows how to get a hold of me. And you'll know how to get a hold of me soon enough. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, so David's gonna take over the screen again. And I'm trusting all the slides are back. If not, I'll have to do it. Are you?
So
okay?
who's got the control now?
David should.
David?
Sorry, that's me. I was on mute. That's me. I got the
Okay.
controls again.
Okay. If you could
Go
go
on.
to the project update, please.
Yeah, now it looks like you're on her slides again. Okay, how weird. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Take
Next
it away.
slide, David. Oh.
Oh,
Hmm.
that is so weird.
That is.
All righty.
Oh,
Well,
there it is. All right.
we're there.
Okay. So on the project update, the project is moving along with real estate, engineering, and construction. In regards to real estate, the property acquisition for utility relocation is complete. If you remember last time we talked about what utility relocation is, and I had samples of how the work is done in the field. So we need some portion of the land for us to relocate this, the boxes and the poles. So that acquisition is complete. So it's good news. So we are able to now proceed with the other relocations that are needed. The big one being the transmission line relocation. I'm going to go a little bit detail in the next slide there. So in regards to a small sliver of parcel we need at the corner of Tully and Capital Expressway that belongs to the county airport. We are still in discussion with FAA to release this property for construction. So we don't need it for utility relocation, but we need it for construction of the project. So we are working on that to get that release from FAA. In regards to engineering, the final bid documents are currently under review by reviewers, and we should be getting soon the comments and resolutions on whatever the remaining actions are for that engineering plans and specifications. Kathleen earlier mentioned about demolition in regards to construction. This is a small building that was right next to the gas station at the corner of Story and Capital Expressway. This is on the northwest corner. That was removed last month. I'm sorry, it was removed this month. We're still in August. That's all clean and ready for us to use it for construction. The utility relocation work has started. Some of the gas line relocations have started, and it's complete. This is the area between Story and Capitol Avenue. Next slide, please. So I mentioned about the utility relocation. There is this minor underground work. All the work that's done, especially for a gas line, which is underground, obviously, and then electrical. We have some work to do, and that is going to be concentrated more near Story and the Capitol Expressway, and also near Capitol Avenue and Capitol Expressway. We have some communications lines, and the electrical distribution work is expected to start sometime late in 2021. The communication lines belongs to AT&T, Comcast, Zayo, and MCI are starting in early 2022. So there's a lot of coordination that has to happen between PG&E and these communication companies because they're sharing the trenches. And now we call it as joint trench. So there's a lot of back and forth exchange of plans and discussions to make sure it's well coordinated and the work executed in the field seamlessly. So that's happening. On San Jose Water Company, the plans are ready. The plans are complete. They are waiting for permits from the County of Santa Clara to start the construction. So we expect them to be starting either next month or in October. September, October time is we expect them to start working. So you will be seeing work along the expressway between majorities between Story and Capitol Avenue, and further south past Capitol Avenue. And these are the 8 and 12-inch water lines. So I mentioned about the electrical transmission line. So this work is going to be starting in late September, which is next month. It's a high voltage line, and the work is to relocate the transmission line from the west side to the east side of Capitol Expressway. There are some in the median or the middle of expressway. You may have noticed those lattice towers. So those are in the middle and right where the project is going to be constructed. So those have to be moved to the east side of Capitol Expressway. So in the last meeting in June, I had given you some details of how this transmission line is constructed, the foundations and the poles and the wires that are going to be relocated, moved to the east side. So and like I said, those transmission line would involve installation of steel poles and hanging the wires. Next slide, please. So here's an overview of where the relocation, the utility work is happening. So if you look at this red circles are oval shaped here. You'll see that the work is around Capitol Avenue, Story Road, Ocala Avenue, and Tully. So these are all the underground work, like the gas or the communication line or the electric line work. So those would be happening there. In addition, like I mentioned, the San Jose Water Company line will be along Capitol Expressway between Capitol Avenue and Story and towards Ocala. So those would be happening, like I said, the next month or in October. So the transmission line is the blue area. The limits of the transmission line relocation is from Quinby to past Cunningham Avenue. So there is an existing PG&E line that is close to Ocala, and that's where they're going to reconnect the wires. So the poles would be on the east side, and then and the wires would move from basically would be run from the east side to the west side and connects to the existing pole at Ocala Avenue. So that's pretty much PG&E's relocation work for the utility and the transmission line, which is the overhead line. Next slide, please. So today, last time we talked about relocation. Previously we have discussed about traffic, and we also had maps of schools and businesses in the surrounding project area. Kathleen had shared that information with you. So we've been covering one at a time so that you are informed of what to expect during construction. So today we'll be covering noise and vibration. So the noise and vibration is something that, in fact, you are experiencing noise and vibration on a daily basis. In the noise, we call it an ambient noise, right? The ambient noise is something you hear, every day. The noise of cars or trucks running, and and ambient vibration could be, when a truck passes by, or someone drives a car with a loudspeaker. You could feel that vibration of the structure. If you're at home, or in fact, even if you're at some other locations, you'll be feeling that vibration. So what are the causes of? Next slide, please. So I want to mention that in addition to the ambient noise, right? So when there is construction, noise and vibration is to be expected. So next slide. So the majority of the construction noise and vibration is caused mainly from driving piles. The piles are needed to build the foundation for the bridges, for the bridge, and there's a lot of piles to be driven for this project. Excavation is digging for foundations. It is digging for trenches. You'll be hearing the noise from that, and noise, and mainly noise in terms for excavation. Concrete placement, there'll be concrete pumps that'll be used to pump the concrete from the ground level to the bridge level. You may have seen concrete trucks. The concrete trucks would bring the concrete, and then the concrete pump would pump it from the ground level to the deck or the bridge level. So there's going to be roadway paving. Roadway pavers are noisy, and placement of false work, and POC is pedestrian overcrossing. You may remember, the pedestrian overcrossing is a steel bridge that we'll be installing. So there'll be a noise related to false work placement and the pedestrian overcrossing installation. The false work is basically like a scaffolding, the support that is provided during construction of the bridge. With any construction, you will see a lot of truck activity. There'll be trucks hauling materials or, delivering materials, the steel, the reinforcement, the rebars. So, there'll be, noise related to that. Next slide, please. So, when we work for construction or during construction, right? There's a criteria that establishes the acceptable level of noise and vibration for construction. So, we are very cognizant of the noise and vibration during construction, and we are following the Federal Transportation Authority criteria. So this is a criteria developed by the feds as to what should be the levels of noise and vibration during construction. So so we're going to make an effort to keep that level of noise and vibration to what's called out in the criteria. So for that, we had to do an analysis. We call it noise and vibration modeling, which it's part of the environmental document that was prepared for this project. It's a public document. It's available on the project website. And specifically, it is, I can give you that information. There's a report called the Noise and Vibration Analysis that was done, and I'm going to request one of my colleagues to get that information. I think either Hassan or Ken on what's exactly is the environmental document, and then I think it's the 2019 environmental document with noise and vibration analysis. So that information could be provided to you if you want to look at that. So I had mentioned earlier about the ambient noise, and the ambient noise is what you hear when there's no construction. So, the next slide is very interesting slide that shows, I think if you could go to, yeah, so here is the noise level comparison for many of the things you're familiar with. If you look at, normal speech is roughly around, these are measured in decibels. So if you look at normal speech, it's somewhere in the 65 to 70 range. A continuous noise of a busy freeway at 100 feet is roughly around 72 decibels. And a garbage truck is about 80 decibels. So this gives you an idea as to, what are the decibel levels, what you're experiencing on a daily basis, the noises, and what the construction levels would be. So our requirement from FDA is we are required to control the noise to in the 80 decibel area. So and during the daytime, and 70 decibels during the nighttime. So that's our goal. And so we have some mitigations to implement during construction, so that the levels of the noise levels are low, and we'll strive to work on that. You can see a rock concert is somewhere between 100 and 110, so somewhere in the 105, 106 decibels. this is just to give you an idea as to what range of noise levels you would you are experiencing now, ambient, and then during construction. Next slide, please.
Hey, Ben,
Yes.
real quick, since before we go to vibration, do you want to take questions? Before
Sure.
you switch to the next one?
Yes.
We'll start real quick with the panelists. Panelists, do you have any questions on noise before we move over to vibration?
Oh,
No. Sandy, go ahead.
what are the times of the construction? Would it be during the working days or in the evenings, weekends?
Sure. Good question. So I had mentioned about pile driving. Some of the construction, the pile driving is probably the noisiest of all. So that work will be happening between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. So during the daytime. We are not allowing any pile driving to occur past 5 p.m. The other work, we'll have construction happening. Some days we'll be working at night because of the kind of work we have to do. It has to be done at night because the morning times we cannot close the lanes for traffic. So those kind of work would be happening at night. And so one of the things we are doing is, like I said, there's a criteria to limit the noise levels. So we are going to be installing what's called a noise wall. So those would be installed along the area where the noise is being generated. So we'll have those in place. We also have other methods to reduce the noise at night and also during the day. Like I said, 80 decibels during the day.
I know we're going to go deeper into that in another presentation, next month or November next meeting. But some of the activities that will happen at night, you might recall from the traffic discussions, were like when we have to hoist the pedestrian overcrossing. There were some of the cement pours because of the amount of space we need for all the trucks. So some of that stuff was going to happen at night. Does that help answer your question? And we'll, as we get closer to that, we'll have the better details to share.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And then Laura, go ahead.
I just had a quick question. Who was this according to the sound levels?
This is Federal Transportation Transit Agency. FTA.
Oh, so FTA you said, right?
Yeah, Federal Transportation Authority, sorry.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And there is a hand up on the attendee side. Roland, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead. I believe you're unmuted.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah. So before I ask the question, I got a couple of comments. I would really appreciate closed captioning if it was available. And also if there was a Q&A, I could have asked my question that way. But here goes the question verbally. We all know what the impacts of pile driving are. They are right there on the slide there. We're staring at them. And my question to VTA is why aren't we using silent pile drivers which completely eliminate the noise and the vibration? Thank you.
Thank you, Roland.
So I think if I understand correctly, Roland, are you talking about silent piles, the Geekin type piles?
Yes, I'm talking about the Geekin piles, yes.
Okay. So yes, we had, after your previous input, we did take a look at the Geekin piles. And what we found was, those Geekin piles are not suitable for this kind of foundation. These are, Geekin piles are suitable for, the buildings and other locations, not for transportation related structures. And we verified this with our geotechnical engineer after we got your question last time. And one of the things is the state transportation department, Caltrans, and other state departments, they don't allow these kind of piles for bridges, and heavily, especially for highways and rail bridges.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay. Very quickly, my advice to you would be to verify this information with the actual manufacturer. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ben. We'll go on to vibration.
Okay. So as I had mentioned to you earlier, construction would generate, noise and vibration. There is ambient vibrations that we feel many a times, trucks passing by, or, loudspeakers. During construction, the significant one is the pile driving. So we have established criteria for pile driving and how we can manage the vibration due to construction. The criteria includes the evaluation based on amount of ground movement. The ground movement is measured. We have a model that's been developed as part of the project as to what to expect vibration, what level of vibration to be expected, during construction. So the intensity of vibration depends on the proximity of the building to the construction area. So farther away, less vibration. Closer, it's more vibration. So for this project, we are going to be closely monitoring the levels of vibration. We are going to have a pre-construction. That is, before we start construction, we're going to have the baseline measurements of vibration. What is it, ambient vibrations, and what is it during construction? We also will do a post-construction, which is, when once the construction is done, we're going to analyze, what the levels are. We'll make sure, the purpose of this is to control, the vibration to the criteria established by the FTA. So we'll also be doing a survey for any minor hairline cracks or paint or stucco. We don't expect, based on analysis, that we expect anything, but just in case, we'll be making sure that there'll be a survey done for these for some of the homes that we will be identifying. So the next time we'll be coming in with more detail on what is our plan to handle this during construction. So that's today this is more just an overview of noise and vibration. So
can I pipe in? I just wanted to also show you at the next meeting, we'll be able to show you which homes have been identified, how they were identified. We'll have all of that at the next meeting.
Yeah. Next slide, please. So, one of the things we are doing to meet the criteria for FTA criteria is to mitigate, right? So we are committed to minimizing the noise and vibration during construction. We have, right now we are preparing what's called a project communications outreach plan. So those would, outline various steps we are going to be taking, not only for noise and vibration, for everything, for traffic and other things that's going to come up. The outreach group will be leading this, and we'll be having a field office also for public and for community members to reach our outreach personally, and also, of course, through other communications. So we'll make sure that these are the noise and vibration impacts with mitigation will be presented in the next SWG, the Stakeholder Working Group meeting, just like Kathleen mentioned earlier. So we'll cover that. Next slide, please. Earlier, I'd mentioned to you about mitigation and what are the methods we'll be using to mitigate noise and vibration. One of the mitigation is limiting the hours of operation. The pre and post construction survey, like I'd mentioned earlier. Vibration monitoring, we'll be having monitoring the vibration monitors that are set up on the expressway side, and some are also will be installed on the property side, so that we control the level of vibration. The other things we're implementing during construction are these, pile cushion. A pile cushion, if you can see in this photo, it's called a wood cushion. This is a stack of plywood, a thick plywood, that's placed between concrete and the hammer for the pile. What it does is it reduces the noise and the impact, basically the noise levels are reduced with this, and it also protects the concrete from spalling. This is a protection for the pile, the concrete piles itself. A pile shroud is what you see on the right side in this photo. So this is more like a nice covering, protection around the hammer, because where the noise is generated is where the hammer is. So that's it's called the pile shroud. I had earlier mentioned to you about noise walls, temporary noise walls. These are noise walls that will be installed along the expressway. So those would be, the height would be somewhere, depending on, we have a model that's been done as to what kind of propagation of the noise. So we are looking at noise walls somewhere anywhere between 10 feet to 14 feet high noise walls. So we're planning to install those during construction. One of the mitigations we have is cast and drilled hole piles. We do have these in from the beginning of the north end of the project, where the homes are very close. So we are using those in cast and drilled hole piles in those locations. We are also using what's called a tire derived aggregates. These are rubber crumbs from the tires. So what this does is it dampens the vibration generated by by the train when it passes by. So this is more during operation of the train. So it reduces the vibration. So these are placed underneath the ballast or the rock that you see under the tracks. So those would dampen the vibration propagation. So like I said, we are going to be watching, and if there's any in unlikely event that there's going to be any painting or repair of cracks is done, so we'll VTA will handle that. Like I said, we'll give more details in the next meeting. And next slide, please. And that's a wrap up. So it goes back to Kathleen. So before that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I should have actually had the other slide first where it's open discussion, but we can, what I wanted to do, I'll check any questions first. Going once, going twice. All righty. Next meeting's coming up, Board of Directors next Thursday on the 2nd, 5:30 p.m. That's all, everything here is by Zoom. And then we have the Policy Advisory Board. That is on September 15th. It's Wednesday. That's at 4 p.m. also on Zoom. And then we see each other again on the 18th of November. And then I need to put together the 2022 schedule. So love to hear, we'll certainly work on the agendas for 2022, but I'd like to hear from you as well. Something that you want to make sure we get on the agenda. Anything you want to discuss before we wrap up for real? Next slide.
So,
I hear something. I don't hear.
someone, yeah, November the
Ernesto,
18th is,
hi.
hi. November the 18th is going to be the next meeting?
For this group, yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry for the dogs. It's not my dogs. I hope you guys can help me to
I know it's not
do
your dog.
something about my next door neighbor. I can't handle that. Sorry for that.
No problem, Ernesto. Did you have any questions or anything you want to add? Actually, I do want to add something to this. I just wanted to mention, I just want to put it out there again. If there's anything you want us to dive deeper in, come to your neighborhood associations and dive deeper in, let us know. Okay, we are available for Zoom meetings. And the sooner you let us know, the better. David has a bunch of highway projects. I also have the transit-oriented development projects, and those are keeping us in other community meetings as well. So the sooner you get us on the calendar, the better. Okay. We just want to make sure we don't have any conflicts.
Kath, can you send me, please, or send us the next meeting with the Board of Supervisors and for the city? You said that 15th of September is going to be a meeting, right?
Yeah, David, could you go back? Other way. That one. So that's the Eastridge to BART Policy Advisory Board. That is that's the Policy Advisory Board for VTA. That has the members are Magdalena Carrasco, Sylvia Reyes, Cindy Chavez, and Otto Lee.
That's going to be for September the 2nd or for September the 15th?
Oh, I'm sorry. September 2nd is VTA Board of Directors.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's next Thursday.
So September the 15th is going to be with everybody, right? For whoever want to be there.
Well, they're both. So okay. VTA Board of Directors, that's the whole Board of Directors next Thursday. And then the Policy Advisory Board, that's the 4 members on the 15th. Okay.
So can you send the
I'll send you
ID, no, please?
I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. I'll send you the links too, okay? I'll do
Thanks a
that
lot.
for the full, I'll send it to all of you. I'll just make that.
All right,
There we
please. Thank
Okay.
you.
You bet. And then this group meets again November 18th.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Kathleen. Just wanted to know on the Board of Directors meeting September 2nd, there's also a housing meeting on that day. So that's why I'm wondering, is there something important that maybe we should?
No, that's not about this project. I just put it up there so people know.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alrighty. Okay, go ahead and flip to the last slide. I want to share with everyone again the subscribe to updates. This is again, if everyone who has not signed up as a stakeholder, somebody who's interested in the project, has something at stake here, just interested. If you go to our webpage, vta.org, Eastridge to BART, and you scroll, if you're on your phone, I actually took that snapshot from my phone, that's all the way on the bottom, or on your computer screen, it'll be on your bottom to the right. You get that subscribe to updates and you enter your email. Then you will receive notifications from me anytime I send out the newsletter, construction updates, anything related about this project that we send to stakeholders. This means you want to receive information about the project, notifications about this meeting. And that's a good way to let your neighbors know. And if you would like help signing up, let me know. I can walk you through it. I can help your neighbors. Just reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you with that. And the other one that I would suggest signing up for is the East Ridge to BART Policy Advisory Board email list. That way you can be notified of the meetings when the board puts out their agendas. Okay. And I'll make sure I leave that up all the time so you can see that. And then I also always do post the links to this meeting on the project page as well. Tomorrow I'll have the recording of this meeting up. And like I said, tomorrow is Friday, the newsletter drops, and I will email you guys the soft copy so you can send it out. I will also have it linked on the webpage. And in my perfect world, you'll get it 3, 4, 5 different ways. Okay. Any other questions? David, you can go ahead and stop sharing the screen so I can see everybody.
Kathleen,
Oh,
can you
Greg's
mention?
gone outside in the backyard. Nice. Go ahead. Ren.
Oh, Kathleen, can you mention again the Policy Advisory Board and who the members are for the SWG?
Yeah. So on the Policy Advisory Board, again, it is council members Carrasco, District 5, Sylvia Reyes, District 8, and then supervisors, so county supervisors, Cindy Chavez and Otto Lee. And so again, that meets on September 15th. I'll send the SWG the links for that.
And that is specific to this project. It's called the East Ridge to BART Regional Connector Policy Advisory Board.
Okay. And then Jessica, I'll be in touch with you because I'm going to drop off newsletters next week. And so, and like, again, I'll just remind everyone, if you would like me to drop off hard copies, let me know. I can drop them off, mail them. All righty. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a
It's
good
good
night,
seeing
everyone.
you. Happy 1-year anniversary.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.